Expanded lore and setting. The Eternal Hand was no ordinary Star Destroyer. Designed by Sith Imperial engineers, its laboratories secretly housed Project Blackwing, a bioweapon derived from Sith alchemy and Geonosian hive virus strains. Emperor Palpatine had ordered its development to destabilize rebel-held systems, but the pathogen proved sentient. It hungered not just for flesh, but for Force-sensitive hosts, mutating victims into abominations that could channel the dark side. When a stormtrooper patrol mishandled a containment vial in the lab, the outbreak began. The virus spread through touch, saliva, and, as Vader discovered, through the Force itself, infecting weaker-minded crewmates telepathically. Ahsoka's fall. Ahsoka's turn to the dark side was no accident. After surviving Order 66, she was captured by Vader on Mustafar. Sidious, sensing her rage and betrayal by the Jedi, offered her a choice: die as a forgotten relic of a dead order, or become Darth Atroxa, the Emperor's hidden blade. Her training under Vader was brutal, a twisted mirror of her apprenticeship under Anakin. She learned to weaponize her grief for Padmé's death and her hatred for Obi-Wan's abandonment, her once bright connection to the Force, now a conduit for storms of lightning and telekinetic rage. The Eternal Hand's bridge trembled as the blast doors groaned under the weight of 100 rotting fists. Darth Vader stood like a monolith, his cape billowing in the toxic breeze wafting from the ventilation shafts. Behind him, Darth Atroxa, Ahsoka Tano, her montrals now streaked with jagged crimson tattoos, paced the deck, her boots crunching over shards of a shattered viewscreen. The air reeked of ionized blood and something worse, a sweet rot stench that clung to the back of the throat. "My lord, the hangar..." Vader's fist closed, and the navigation officer's words died in a gurgle as the dark side compressed his trachea. "I did not ask for excuses," he intoned, dropping the man's twitching body to the floor. "I asked for solutions." Ahsoka smirked, her yellow eyes glinting under the emergency lights. "The solution is through them." She ignited her lightsabers, the twin crimson blades casting hellish shadows across the faces of the surviving crew. A young lieutenant vomited silently into his helmet. The blast doors buckled. First came the hands, skeletal fingers clawing through the durasteel seams, dripping black fluid that hissed where it struck the floor. Then the screams, not of pain, but of a terrible collective hunger. "Flesh! Light!" Ahsoka faltered. The voice wasn't auditory. It slithered into her mind, oily and cold, probing the cracks in her mental shields. She saw flashes: Mustafar's lava rivers, Vader's saber piercing her abdomen, Sidious laughter as he promised her power beyond the Jedi's petty lies. "Focus, apprentice," Vader barked, his blade severing a zombie's head as it breached the door. The creature's body stumbled forward, hands still raking at Ahsoka's robes. She decapitated it, but the head laughed, teeth snapping at her ankles. "They're not dying." "They were never alive," Vader replied, crushing the skull underfoot. The doors exploded inward. The horde was a nightmare tapestry of Imperial might undone. Stormtroopers with plastoid armor fused to necrotic flesh, engineers dragging intestines like tool belts, and at their center,
"Commander, Tano?"
Ahsoka froze. The zombie wore the faded blue markings of the 332nd Division, its helmet cracked to reveal a face she'd mourned a lifetime ago. CT-8866, Hound. His right arm ended in a rusted vibroblade welded to the bone, a grotesque mimicry of the weapon he'd carried liberating Mandalore.
Siege of Mandalore flashback. Hound tossing her a thermal detonator with a grin. "Fire in the hole, Commander." "Hound, she whispered. The clone lunged, unnervingly fast. Ahsoka parried, her blade shearing through his collarbone, but the zombie didn't slow. Its remaining hand clawed at her wrist, blackened nails drawing blood. "Join us," the hive mind crooned in her voice. In Anakin's voice. Vader's fist closed. Hound's torso imploded, ribs erupting like shrapnel. "Sentiment is a cancer," he growled. "Cut it out, or I will." Ahsoka opened her mouth to retort. The hive pulse hit. It wasn't sound. It was a tsunami of dark side energy, a psychic scream that liquefied the weak-minded. The lieutenant who'd vomited earlier clawed his eyes out, screeching, "Make it stop!" before his skull ruptured. Even Vader staggered, his respirator cycling furiously. Ahsoka collapsed, visions assaulting her. Padme's corpse, pale and cold in a Nabooian tomb. Obi-Wan's betrayed glare as she force-choked a rebel spy. The Emperor's gnarled hand offering her a Sith holocron. "You hunger for truth. The Jedi never fed you." "No!" she screamed, lashing out with Sith lightning. The bolts arced through the horde, reducing zombies to ash, but the abomination's voice purred in the static. "We see you, Darth Atroxa. We see your fear." Expanded Chapter 1, The Bridge of Teeth, continued. The hive pulse subsided, leaving Ahsoka gasping on her knees. Her vision swam, the bridge's red emergency lights bleeding into the phantom afterimages of Padme's corpse. The stench of charred flesh and ozone clawed at her throat. Around her, the surviving bridge crew writhed. Half were already turning, their eyes leaking viscous black fluid as their bones cracked and reconfigured into predatory hunchbacks. "On your feet, apprentice!" Vader snarled, hauling her up with the Force. His grip was crushing, intentional. "Or I will leave you for them." Ahsoka wrenched free, her pride flaring. "I don't need your help." She choked on the last word, her wrist burning where Hound's nails had torn her skin. Black veins spiderwebbed beneath the wound. Vader's respirator hitched. He saw. "The infection," Ahsoka hissed, clutching her arm. "Can you stop it?" His silence was answer enough. A gurgling scream cut through the din. Across the bridge, a zombie engineer, her jaw dangling by sinews, pinned a stormtrooper to the navigation console. She tore off his helmet and sank her teeth into his face with a wet crunch. The crew's panic reignited, officers scrambling for sidearms, blaster bolts ricocheting wildly. Vader raised his fist. With a thunderous crack, the ship's artificial gravity reversed. Crew members and zombies alike slammed into the ceiling, their screams cut short as Vader released his grip. Bodies rained down, bones shattering on impact. Ahsoka stared at the carnage. Efficient. "Wasteful," Vader corrected. He gestured to the sole survivor, a young lieutenant clinging to a sparking control panel. "You, lead us to the secondary armory." The man trembled. The armory's in the lower decks, my lord. The lifts are..." Vader's lightsaber hovered at his throat. "Then we walk." Corridor of Echoes. The Eternal Hand's central corridor was a charnel house. Emergency bulkheads had sealed haphazardly, trapping pockets of infected crew members who pounded against the durasteel, their moans reverberating like a discordant choir. The air recyclers had failed, and the stench of decay hung thick enough to taste. Ahsoka took point, her blades carving through the occasional zombie that lunged from maintenance shafts. Each kill cost her. The infection slithered up her arm, whispering promises in the voice of the hive mind. "You are strong, Darth Atroxa. Let us make you stronger." She silenced it with Sith lightning, searing her own wound. The pain cleared her mind. Barely.
Behind her, the lieutenant, Jalos Kren, muttered into his comlink. Command bridge party en route to Deck 12. Survivors report. Anyone?
Static. Then, Deck 9. Cough. Containment failed. They're in the walls. They're... A wet scream, followed by the unmistakable sound of tearing meat. Vader seized the comlink and crushed it. No more distractions. They're your men, Kren spat, his fear momentarily overridden by defiance. They are corpses, Vader said. As you will be if you fail me again. Ahsoka watched the exchange, her senses fraying. The infection was a live wire in her veins, amplifying the dark side's whispers. She could feel every zombie on the ship, their fractured consciousnesses swarming like insects. So many, and they're getting faster. The armory's betrayal. The secondary armory was a fortified vault at the corridor's end, its blast door scarred by plasma burns. Kren input his security code with shaking hands. It's malfunctioning. Needs dual authorization. Ahsoka stepped forward, but Vader raised a hand. Wait. His suspicion was warranted. The door hissed open, revealing not weapons, but a nest. Dozens of infected crew members hung from the ceiling, their bodies fused to the durasteel by tendrils of black biomass. At the room's center stood Lieutenant Commander Vesh, her uniform pristine save for the jagged hole in her chest, where her ribcage had bloomed outward into a grotesque flower of bone and rot.
Lord Vader, Vesh rasped, her voice a chorus of overlapping tones. The Emperor sends his regards.
Ahsoka lunged, but the biomass tendrils lashed out, wrapping around her wrists.
You carry his gift, Vesh crooned, gesturing to Ahsoka's infected arm. But you are not the intended vessel. Vader's lightsaber flared. Enough! The duel was chaos. Vesh moved with unnatural speed, her bone blades parrying Vader's strikes as the tendrils hurled crates and blaster cannons at Ahsoka. Kren fled, only to be snatched by a zombie and dragged into the shadows, his screams echoing.
Ahsoka tapped into the infection's venom, her pain fueling a storm of Sith lightning. The tendrils recoiled, and she severed them, diving for a rack of thermal detonators.
Vader, catch! She tossed one. He crushed it mid-air with the Force, triggering a chain explosion that engulfed Vesh and her nest. The blast door sealed, muffling her final shriek. The hive awaits! Ahsoka's turning point. In the sudden quiet, Ahsoka sagged against the wall. Her infection had spread to her shoulder, the skin mottled black and green. Vader loomed over her, his blade humming. You are compromised. She laughed bitterly. And you're not? Sidious set this whole thing up to break you, to see if you'd still be his dog when your leash snapped. His grip tightened on his lightsaber. You overestimate your worth, apprentice. I've replaced better than you. Flashback. Mustafar. Vader stands over a wounded Ahsoka, her Jedi robes scorched. Sidious hologram flickers. Kill her, Lord Vader, and your training begins. Vader's blade swings, but stops. Number she is mine to mold. Ahsoka bared her teeth. You kept me alive because you're weak, because you still miss him, the man you were. The Force shrieked as Vader slammed her into the wall, his durasteel fingers inches from her throat. That man is dead. Then prove it, she spat. Kill me. For a heartbeat, he hesitated. The ship lurched violently, throwing them apart.
Alarms blared as the Eternal Hand's orbit destabilized.
Engine core collapse, Vader said, analyzing the readouts. We have 23 minutes.
Ahsoka staggered upright. The hangar? Sealed. The abomination guards it. She ignited her blades, the crimson light reflecting in her fever-bright eyes. Then let's give Sidious his show.
Expanded. Chapter 2. The Oracle's Curse.
The Descent.
The path to Sub-Level 9 was a vertical tomb. The turbolift had been reduced to a hollow shaft, its cables snapped and sparking. Vader descended first, using the Force to rip a maintenance ladder from the wall and bend it into a makeshift bridge across the abyss. Ahsoka followed, her infected arm trembling as she gripped the rungs. The Blackwing venom pulsed in time with her heartbeat, whispering promises of power, and worse.
Give in, the hive mind crooned, its voice a fusion of Palpatine's rasp and Anakin's ghost. The dark side cannot save you. We are the dark side made flesh.
She silenced it with a surge of rage, crushing a rung in her fist.
Below, the sub-level's doors were sealed beneath a membrane of throbbing biomass. Vader ignited his lightsaber, but Ahsoka stopped him. Wait, it's breathing.
The biomass quivered, veins of virulent green snaking across its surface. As they watched, it parted, revealing an airlock drenched in bile and strands of black mucus.
It's inviting us in, Ahsoka muttered.
A trap, Vader said, though he stepped forward.
Same thing.
The Garden of Flesh.
Sub-level 9 was not a lab.
It was a cathedral.
The walls, floor, and ceiling were carpeted in pulsating biomass, its surface studded with screaming faces, crew members half absorbed into the hive, their mouths stretched in endless silent wails. Glowing pods hung from the ceiling like grotesque fruit, each containing a prisoner suspended in black fluid. Ahsoka's breath hitched. Jedi younglings, their small hands pressed against the pod glass. A Lasat with a lightsaber gash across his chest. A Twi'lek woman in Republic medic armor, her eyes gouged out. Test subjects, Vader intoned, scanning the pods. Sidious. Collection. One pod shuddered. Inside, a human girl, no older than Ahsoka, scratched at the glass, her mouth forming a plea. Help me.
Ahsoka turned away. They're already dead.
No, Vader said. He pressed a hand to the pod. The girl's eyes turned black, her voice distorting into the hive's chorus.
Lord Vader, you have come to join us. The pod exploded. The girl lunged, her limbs elongating into bone blades. Vader bisected her midair, but the pieces twitched and reformed into two smaller abominations.
Ahsoka disintegrated them with lightning.
No more games, she snarled. Where's Carr? A gurgling laugh echoed. At the chamber's center, a pillar of fused corpses rose, their limbs cradling a shattered holoprojector. Dr. Carr's truth.
The holoprojector flickered to life, casting Dr. Orlan Carr's gaunt face in ghostly blue. Blood dripped from his nostrils, his eyes wide with madness.
Log entry 227. Subject Omega has breached containment. The Emperor's cough. Design is flawless.
Vader clenched his fist. Skip the delusions, Doctor. The hologram glitched,
Kar's face twisting. You think this was an accident? The Emperor chose you, Lord Vader. The virus, it's not a bioweapon. It's a crucible.
Ahsoka froze. For what?
To forge the ultimate Sith, Kar hissed. A being of pure dark side energy, unbound by flesh. But the vessel must be willing.
The hologram shifted, showing schematics of Vader's suit. Every circuit, every life support node.
Your suit sustains you, but it cages you, Kar said. The virus, it will rewrite you. Strip away your weakness. All you must do is embrace it.
Ahsoka stared at her infected arm. And if we refuse? Kar's image disintegrated into static, replaced by footage of Coruscant's lower levels. Thousands of humans, Twi'leks, and Wookiees collapsing as the Blackwing virus erupted from ventilation ducts.
Then the galaxy burns. The hive mind answered through Kar's corpse.
The Apostle.
The biomass surged. From the pillar of corpses emerged a figure, a Jedi Knight, his robes tattered and skin marbleized with black veins.
Ahsoka recognized him. Barriss Offee.
Her former friend's face split into a grin, her voice a harmony of decay and glee. Ahsoka, you came back to me.
Ahsoka's blades faltered. Barriss, but you're...
Dead? Number the Emperor preserved me. He knew you'd return. Barriss's hand stretched toward her, fingers melting into tendrils. Join me. Together we'll end the cycle of Jedi and Sith. We'll become more.
Vader stepped between them. You are a ghost. And you are a relic. Barriss spat. The biomass convulsed, birthing a dozen zombified Jedi, their lightsabers crackling with corrupted kyber crystals. Ahsoka roared, charging. Her blades clashed against Barriss's blood lightsaber, the impact scattering sparks that burned like acid.
You were my friend! Ahsoka screamed.
I am your salvation, Barriss retorted.
Vader dueled the Jedi horde, his strikes mechanical yet precise. But with each zombie he cut down, 2 more emerged from the biomass.
Apprentice, he bellowed. The Oracle. Find it.
The heart of the hive.
Ahsoka tore through the biomass, following the infection's pull in her veins. The deeper she went, the louder the hive mind's voice grew, until she found it.
The Oracle was a giant brain, suspended in a tank of black fluid. Neurons flickered with sickly green light, its surface etched with Sith runes.
Darth Atroxa, we've waited so long.
Ahsoka plunged her lightsaber into the tank. The fluid drained, the brain collapsing into a shriveled mass.
The chamber shook. The zombified Jedi crumbled.
Barriss screamed, clawing at her disintegrating body. You! Betrayer!
Ahsoka watched her fade. I'm not the one who betrayed us. Vader's ultimatum.
Vader stood amidst the carnage, his suit scorched and his respirator labored. He pointed to Ahsoka's arm, now blackened to the shoulder.
The infection has reached your heart. You have minutes. Ahsoka laughed, bitter and raw. So do you.
She nodded to his chest panel, a hairline crack in the durasteel, oozing black fluid.
Vader stilled. The virus had breached his suit.
Sidious wins, Ahsoka whispered.
Vader seized her throat with the Force. Number we burn.
He hurled his lightsaber into the Oracle's tank, igniting the residual Blackwing fluid. The explosion tore through Sub-Level 9, engulfing them both in fire.
Expanded, Chapter 3. The Blood Memory.
The Inferno.
The explosion tore through sub-level 9, melting durasteel and flesh alike. Ahsoka hurtled backward, her body slamming into a pod of screaming biomass. The fire did not burn, it consumed, its flames tinged virulent green by the Blackwing virus aerosolizing in the heat. Through the smoke, Vader's silhouette loomed, his cape ablaze, his respirator a broken wheeze.
"Move!" he roared, seizing her with the Force and hurling her toward the exit. Ahsoka stumbled into the corridor, her infected arm now a necrotic black claw. The virus had reached her collarbone, its tendrils spidering across her neck. Every breath tasted of rot. Behind her, Vader emerged, his armor scorched, chest panel cracked open to reveal the grotesque symbiosis of machine and meat beneath. Black fluid oozed from his exposed wiring. "Your suit!" Ahsoka rasped. "Irrelevant!" Vader snapped. "The hangar! Now!" The Eternal Hand groaned, its structural integrity failing. Conduits burst, spraying steam and sparks as the siblings in darkness staggered onward, the hive mind's laughter echoing through the ship's bones. The ghosts of Mandalore. Deck 7 was a graveyard of the familiar. The virus had reshaped the corridor into a mockery of the Jedi Temple's archives. Shelves of flesh stacked with skulls, their eye sockets glowing with faint Sith runes. Ahsoka's breath hitched as she recognized one. Plo Koon, his cranial ridges split by a lightsaber wound. "Little Soka," the skull hissed. "You left us to burn." "Shut up," she growled, shattering it with a Force push. Vader marched ahead, seemingly impervious, until a voice stopped him cold. "Ani." A hologram flickered in the center of the hall. Padme Amidala, her pregnant belly swollen, her eyes wide with heartbreak. "You're breaking my heart." Vader froze. The hologram wasn't the Emperor's trick. It was his memory, ripped from his mind and weaponized by the hive. Ahsoka stared. "Is that her?"
"Silence," Vader snarled, crushing the hologram emitter. But the damage was done. His mechanical breaths came faster, uneven.
The hive pressed its advantage. "You killed her, Anakin." Padme's voice whispered from the walls. "You killed us all." Vader's fist clenched. A stormtrooper's corpse levitated, then disintegrated. "I am Vader." Ahsoka gripped her lightsaber, her own ghosts rising. "You're not the only one they'll torture." The captain's defiance. They found survivors in a barricaded mess hall, 5 stormtroopers and Captain Tala Renning, a sharp-eyed veteran with a blaster burn across her cheek. Her squad aimed their weapons at Vader, defiance overriding fear. "Stay back," Renning barked. "We saw what that virus does. You're both infected." Ahsoka stepped forward, her corrupted arm twitching. "We're your only way off this ship." "Like hell," spat a trooper. "You're monsters, just like the things out there." Vader's lightsaber ignited. "Then die as cowards." Renning stepped between him and her men. "I served with you on Murkana, General Skywalker. You saved my unit from separatist artillery. Is this what you've become? A butcher?" The name hung in the air like a detonator's pin. Ahsoka braced for the slaughter, but Vader hesitated. Flashback. Clone Captain Rex handing Anakin a report on Murkana. "Renning's squad is MIA, sir. Orders?" "Anakin, already in Vader's armor but not yet masked. We go get them." The hive mind seized the opening. "Weak, weak, weak." The trooper who'd spoken earlier screamed as his eyes flooded black. He lunged at Renning, teeth snapping. She put 2 bolts in his skull, but the others began to twitch,
their resolve crumbling. "Please," Renning begged Vader. "If there's anything left of the man who saved us..."
Vader's blade pierced her chest.
"There is no man," he said, withdrawing the saber. Renning's body collapsed, her unblinking stare locked on him.
The remaining troopers opened fire. Ahsoka cut them down, her blades moving on instinct. When it was done, she turned on Vader.
"She knew you. You remembered."
"Memory is a distraction," Vader said, but his grip on his lightsaber trembled. Ahsoka's laugh was hollow. "Liar, you hesitated because he's still in there, and you're terrified of him." The Force surged, Vader pinning her to the wall. "You think yourself my equal? You are a tool. Broken. Replaceable."
"Then replace me," she choked out. "Or are you afraid Sidious will pick someone stronger?" He dropped her. "The hangar. Now."
The hive's embrace.
The infection was winning. Ahsoka's vision blurred at the edges, the hive mind weaving hallucinations into reality. The corridor walls melted into the Jedi Temple's council chamber, its chairs occupied by the zombified council members. Mace Windu's corpse leaned forward, his jaw unhinged.
"You could have saved us, Ahsoka. You chose the dark side instead."
She slashed through the vision, but the virus retaliated, flooding her mind with Padme's final moments. Obi-Wan's voice. "You turned her against me."
Anakin's scream. "You will not take her from me!"
"Stop!" Ahsoka whispered, clawing at her montrals. "Get out of my head!"
Vader gripped her shoulder, his touch burning. "Fight it, apprentice."
She recoiled. "Why? Isn't this what you wanted? For me to be strong?"
"To be strong," Vader said, "you must control the pain, not let it control you." Flashback. Anakin teaching Ahsoka to center herself after a nightmare. "Focus on my voice. The fear isn't real." The memory, untainted by the hive, anchored her. She inhaled, the dark side coiling like a serpent in her gut. "I'll control it, but not for you."
The sacrifice. The hangar doors loomed, but between them and salvation stood an army. Hundreds of zombies, their bodies fused into a single seething mass. At its core pulsed the abomination, now grown to titanic proportions, its 6 Force-sensitive hosts, visible as screaming faces embedded in its chest.
Vader assessed the horde. "We cannot fight them all." Ahsoka eyed the infected officers they'd passed, still human enough to bleed. "We don't have to." She reached out with the Force, her will amplified by the virus. The officers' eyes flooded black as she hijacked their minds.
What are you doing? Vader demanded.
"What you taught me," she said. "Sacrifice."
The officers sprinted toward the horde, detonating thermal grenades strapped to their belts. The explosion ripped through the abominations' ranks, buying seconds.
"Go!" Ahsoka shouted. They ran, the hangar's surviving stormtroopers providing cover fire. A TIE Reaper waited, its engines humming. The abomination roared, hurling a fuel canister. Vader deflected it, but the impact shattered his chest panel entirely. Black fluid gushed, his respirator failing.
Ahsoka grabbed him. "Don't you dare die here!"
"Too late," he rasped. The hive mind surged, its voice triumphant.
The Eternal Hand was no ordinary Star Destroyer. Designed by Sith Imperial engineers, its laboratory's secret All flesh decays, Lord Vader, even yours. The choice. The TIE Reaper's ramp lowered. Ahsoka dragged Vader inside, his weight nearly crushing her. The abomination lunged, its blood lightsaber carving the ship's wing.
"Punch it!" Ahsoka screamed at the droid pilot. The engines flared. The ship lurched forward, crushing zombies beneath its landing gear. The abomination leapt, clinging to the hull.
Ahsoka unleashed every ounce of Sith lightning she'd bottled since Mustafar. The blast tore the creature's arm off, sending it spiraling into the void. The Eternal Hand exploded behind them, its shockwave propelling the TIE Reaper into hyperspace. Ephemeral peace. In the trembling dark of the shuttle, Ahsoka slumped against the wall. Vader lay motionless, his systems flickering. She pressed her clawed hand to his shattered chest, the virus in her blood calling to the virus in his.
You could save him, the hive mind crooned. Merge with him. Become more.
She hesitated. Vader's hand rose, clamping over hers. Do not. Ahsoka withdrew. You don't get to die. Not until you face what you've done. She ejected the hyperdrive core, jettisoning it, and the last of the Blackwing samples, into a star. As the radiation washed over the shuttle, purging the virus from their blood, Ahsoka whispered, "This isn't over." Vader's final words before stasis swallowed him. It never is.
If you enjoyed the audio story above, please like and subscribe, and I will try to create more similar content. Thanks for sticking around. Until next time.